Okay, this is going to be the sample test for the Advanced Math, Chapter 2 on Trig. I think one thing that you have to understand in this is you have to understand your special right triangles. All right, so if I've got a special right triangle and this is 45, that's going to be 1, 1, and the square root of 2. Okay, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay, you'll have the 30-degree triangle, which will be 30, 1, square root of 3. Let me move this over here. Okay, 1, square root of 3 down here, and 2, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. And then you've got the 60-degree triangle, square root of 3, 1, and 2, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay? What you always also have to have an understanding of is what's positive and what's negative. Okay? This is going to be positive, positive up here. This is going to be negative, positive. This is going to be negative, negative. This is going to be positive, negative. These are referring to the x and the y coordinates. Okay? So as you go through and do the triangles, now for the 0, 90, 180, 270, 180, 360, okay? All those you can use the calculator for. Now, let me put my calculator in degree mode. Okay? So for sine of 0, I can just go sine 0, boom, 0. Very simple. Sine of 90, sine 90, enter, 1. Now, cosecant. As you can see, cosecant, there is no cosecant button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the sine of 180, okay? Whoops, sine of 180. So the sine of 180 happens to be 0, okay? So sine is 0 there. Now, this is cosecant, so 0 turns into undefined, okay? Undefined, if you get an answer, turns into 0. 1 stays with 1. Negative 1 stays with negative 1, okay? So as you go, now this one's easy. Tangent of 270, tan of 270 equals error, which means undefined. And I can just keep that as it was. If it was cotangent, that would have been 0. I flip it around. For instance, cotangent of 180. I'm actually going to find the tangent of 180 first. Tan of 180, tan 180. Tan of 180 is 0. So what that's going to turn in for me is undefined. Okay? All right? So a good rule of thumb with that is, and I'll erase this real quick, 1 will turn into 1, negative 1 will stay negative 1, 0 turns to undefined, undefined turns to 0. Okay? So that's the rule for 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, and that's if you're using secant, cosecant, or cotangent. You follow that rule. Type in the match, okay, and then use that rule. I'll go ahead and erase that now, all right, for this part. All right, so let's go down to this one, all right, number 6, okay, 240. Where's 240? 240 is down here. We always go to 180 or 360, basically, okay? So that's going to be my 60-degree triangle, okay? So that 60-degree triangle is up there. That's square root of 3. All right, 2 and 1. If it's down here, both of these are going to be negative. Hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Cosine is adjacent, so negative 1 over 2. Okay, that is the cosine of 240. 210, once again, 210 would be down here. Okay, so I'm going to do 210 minus 180. All right, so I get a 30-degree triangle. That's 1 square root of 3 and 2. Okay, down here, these both are negative, so that's opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Now in this case, they want me to find cosecant, which is h over o, which is 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. 225, 225, once again, down in that corner. Subtract from 180, I get 45, okay? 1, 1, square root of 2. These are negative, adjacent and opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine. Cosine, they want me to find negative 1 over the square root of 2, which will turn into negative square root of 2 over 2. Good rule of thumb is, if you have a negative, you have to end with a negative. All right? Moving on. Okay? Number 9. What you have to do on this one, that's once again, that's 240. That's down in there. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to have a 60-degree triangle because I'm going to subtract from 180. That's going to be a square root of 3, 1, and 2. Adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse. Down on this one, both these are negative. Tangent, negative square root of 3 over negative 1. Now, both those negatives will cancel out. I'll have that. Okay? Cotangent, pi over 6. Now, what you should do is convert that to a degree. Okay? Here's how you convert it to a degree. That is 1/6 times, and we're just going to multiply by 180. And that's really a 30-degree angle. Now, don't get confused with this. 30 degrees would be in this quadrant, quadrant 1. If it's 30 there, it's automatically going to be 30. So 1 square root of 3 and 2. Everything's going to be positive. Okay? Cotangent's A over O. Okay? This is H, O, and A. So square root of 3 over 1, which is just square root of 3. Okay? All right. Sine of 5 pi over 6. Okay? So that's going to be 5/6 times 180 is going to be 150 degrees. That's what it really is. Okay? Once again, I'm going to go, because 150 is going to be here, I'm still going to 180. So that's going to be a 30-degree triangle. 1 square root of 3 and 2. Okay? In this quadrant, okay, the x is negative, which will be this one. Sine O over h, which is 1/2. Okay? Is 1/2. All right? Secant of 405. Now, we don't like 405 because it's bigger than 360, so we're going to subtract 360 there. That's going to put me at the secant of 45 degrees. Once again, that's quad 1. Okay? So 45, it is what it is. Okay? 1 square root of 2, h, o, and a. All right? Secant is h over a. All right? So that's square root of 2 over 1, which is just going to be square root of 2. All right? 600. Okay? What should you do with 600? Just keep subtracting. Okay? So 600 minus 360. Whoops, that's 6,000. 600 minus 360 equals 240. Okay? Once again, just like this one. So that's really 240 degrees. Just like this, that's a 60-degree triangle. All right? H, O, and A. Square root of 3, 1 and 2. Both of these are going to be negative. Cosine is A over H. So that's negative 1 over 2. All right? Cosecant of 690. Okay? So I'm going to subtract 690, 360. Now, that's at 330. Okay? At 330 degrees, I'm going to use 360. Okay? So that's 330. I'm going to use 360. That's going to create a 30-degree triangle. Degrees, 1 square root of 3 and 2. Okay, down here the y's are negative, so that's going to be the opposite, hypotenuse and adjacent. All right, cosecant is h over o, which is 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. Okay, negative 135. Now we'd like to deal with a positive degree, so I'm going to add 360 to that, and really I'm at 225. Okay, 225 is down in that quadrant, so I'm going to 180. 225 minus that creates a 45-degree triangle. 1 square root of 2. Down here, both these are going to be negatives. O, A, and H. Okay? All right, secant is H over A, which is 2 over square root of 2 over negative 1, which is negative square root of 2. Okay? Same thing, tangent of negative 120. Tangent of negative 120, I'm going to add 360. And that's going to be 240. Very common in this. All right, so that's 240 degrees. Just like this triangle right here. Tangents O over H, both those are negative. Negative square root of 3 over negative 1, which stays square root of 3. Okay? All right, both those are going to be like that. Okay? Now, find all the 6 trig functions. Okay? So what I'm going to do with that, 135 would be right there, so I'm going to go to 180. Okay? 180 minus that would give me a 45-degree angle. 1 square root of 2. In this quadrant, this is negative because it's the A. Okay? So all I got to do is find this stuff here. So sine would be 1 over the square root of 2, which will turn into square root of 2 over 2. Okay? Cosine would be negative 1 over the square root of 2, which I begin with the negative, I finish with 1. And tangent would be 1 over negative 1, which would just be negative 1. Okay? Now, what I can do from the beginning is just flip this. This is going to be h over o, square root of 2 over 1, which is square root of 2. This is square root of 2 over negative 1, which is negative square root of 2. And cotangent is negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. Okay? 210. 210 is going to be, 210 would be down in this quadrant, so I'm going to go to 180. Okay? So that's going to create a 30-degree triangle, 1, square root of 3, and 2. All right? This is the A, O, and H. These are going to be negative, so negative 1, negative square root of 3. Okay? So if I find this, this is 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. Okay? Cosine is negative square root of 3 over 2. Wait, I'm sorry. That's not right for sine. Sine is negative 1 over 2. All right? Tangent will be negative 1 over negative square root of 3. Now, negatives cancel out, so that's going to be square root of 3 over 3. Okay? All right? Cosecant, that one is that other one. That's going to be negative 2. Secant. Secant is going to be 2 over negative square root of 3. Start with the negative, finish. So that's 2 square root of 3 over 3 with a negative. And cotangent is going to be negative square root of 3 over negative 1, which is square root of 3. Okay? All right? Now, these are just radian conversions. So what I'm going to have to do here on this one, all right, is I'm going to take 5/4 times 180. 225. 225. Okay? So 225. Okay? I'm down in this quadrant, so I'm going to 180. It's a 45-degree triangle. 1, 1, square root of 2, H, O, A. Both of those are negative. Okay? So sine, negative 1 over the square root of 2, which is going to be negative square root of 2 over 2. Cosine, negative 1 over square root of 2, turns into negative square root of 2 over 2. Negative 1 over negative 1, 2 negatives create a positive. Okay? All right, working back up this way, same thing, positive. All right, secant is square root of 2 over negative 1, which is negative square root of 2. And also the square root of 2 over negative 1, which is square root of negative 2. Okay? All right, now, both a radian measure and a degree. Okay? Radian measure and a degree. So what I have here is I've got negative 1/3, because that's what that fraction is, times 180. That puts me at negative 60. I have to add 360 to get to 300. Okay? So 300 degrees is what this really is. All right? 300 is located right there. I'm going to subtract from 360 to figure out that I have a 60-degree triangle here. All right? So I have a 60-degree triangle. So that's square root of 3, 1 and 2. Down in this quadrant, the y is negative, or the o. Okay? So then my sine is negative square root of 3 over 2. My cosine is 1/2. My tangent is negative square root of 3 over 1, which is negative square root of 3. Okay? My cosecant is 2 over negative square root of 3, which is negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. My secant is 2 over 1, which is 2. And my cotangent is 1 over negative square root of 3, which turns into negative square root of 3 over 3. Okay? Moving right along. Find the exact values given these. Okay? What you should do, cosecant is really h over o. So if I draw out a triangle, H, O, and A, I know that this is 25 and this is 24. So the Pythagorean triple makes this 7. Now, leave out your negatives till the end. Since we're in quad 2, which would be there, the thing that's going to be negative is this. Okay? So then all I'm doing is fill in this stuff. 24 over 25, negative 7 over 25, 24 over negative 7, and then flip these around. 25 over 24, okay? Negative 25 over 7, or 25 over negative 7, and then negative 7 over 24, okay? All right, even though I see the negatives here, I'm still hypotenuse opposite adjacent. Tangent is O over A. I'm doing 4 and 3. Through the triples, I know, or the Pythagorean theorem, that that's 5. Now, This is quad 4. Where's quad 4? Down here. What's normally negative? The y. Okay? So my sine is negative 4/5. Cosine is 3/5. Tangent is negative 4/3. Cosecant is 5 negative 4. Secant is 5/3. And cotangent is 3 negative 4. Okay? Alright? So that's how you do those. Moving on, 25. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do inverse sine and put this into the calculator. Okay? So that first angle that I get, alright, square root of 2 divided by 2, okay, gives me 45 degrees. So that's the first part of my answer. You're going to have 2 of these. Okay? So if I'm at 45 degrees, okay, don't outthink yourself. That means that's got to be a 45-degree triangle going all the way around. Okay? To find these angles, it's just like we've always found the angles. In this side, we're going to involve 180. This side, we involve 360. So 180 plus 45 would give me 225. 180 minus 45 would give me 135. Okay? All right, so very simple. 180 plus 45, 180 minus 45. You know, what you should do is then use your logic. 135 has to be there, 225 has to be there. This one's going to go to 360. So 360 minus 45. 360 minus 45 gives me 315. Okay? Now, what you do in this to find my other answer, I'm looking for the answer in this case that's positive. So as I take these things, okay, the sign of these answers, I look for the other positive one. For instance, sine of 135, sine of 225, and sine of 315. If you notice, all of them are the same. 2 are negative, another one is positive, and since my original is positive, that's the one I'm looking for. For those of you that can master this quickly, sine, we're usually using y's. So if the y is, the answer ratio is positive, where is the y positive? If you're looking at cosine, cosine usually refers to x. So from a quick standpoint, you're looking for where x is negative. Well, where's that? Here and here. This can help speed up the process for you. Okay? So on this one, okay, on this one, I'm going to take inverse cosine, all right, negative square root of 3 divided by 2. Okay? 150 is the first that works. Okay, where's 150? Well, 150 is here. What does that mean for me on the inside? 30, because that's 180 here. Okay, so they're all going to be 30s going around. Okay, this one would be 210. This one would be 330. This one would just be 30. Notice those are the same amounts. The only quadrant is the same. All right, and then once again, 180 plus 30, 180 minus 30. Okay, as you notice, 210 has to be there. Now, where's cosine negative? Cosine of 210 is negative. Cosine of 330 will be positive. Cosine of 30 will be positive. Okay, so my 2 answers there are 150 and 210. Secant of square root of 2. Now, as you notice, there is no button here for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use cosine, inverse cosine, and I'm going to do 1 divided by the square root of 2. Okay? Anytime you have a regular number, all right, you just put 1 divided by. If you have a fraction, you flip that around. So this would be 45 degrees. Is the first answer that works. So that means that's got to be 45, 45, 45, and 45. Okay? That's 135, 225, and 315. Now,